covering the inside. Mayer does not want to give him the space. He's going to force him the long way around, and he's going to take it, but he's going to go way wide. Is he going to hold the speed up? He's in the grass trying to hold on. Simon Mayer has got the speed, and he is going to take that lead back just as they cross for the win. Is this enough to try and finally get this done into the Descida del Lago? He outbreaks him. He has the inside, but he can't feed it out because there's a car there, and Costa does it again, denying him, but fighting back. Here comes Tolinen, going to be on the outside, coming into the horseshoe. It's hard to try and make it stick the long way around to this one, but he's going to do it anyways. Another right-hander leading into this one. It's just the never-ending side-by-side battle, but he gets a shove from behind. Showed and Holly are now vying for the lead down the backstretch. Look at him all the way to the yellow line. Michaud covering him off. Holly backs it up. He is setting him up. Absolutely. I guarantee you right here. And look at how calm he is. Oh, no.
That's a slowdown.
It certainly is. And off to the bottom of the track. He doesn't have to play any games. Michaud is done for. And he looks in the mirror almost unbelieving of his luck. Here comes Beaufil. Beaufil going to look to the inside, coming into Brundle. Are we going to go 3 wide potentially? Is Ziti going to try and lift? He is, and they go 3 wide into the corner. But Luke comes out in front, and a little bit of acceleration at the wrong time for Beaufil. Puts him under threat. Down the inside goes Stetzel, through the bomb hole, and out the other side. Stetzel carries the momentum. Another right-hander now into Corum, and he's back through.
Right on board here with James Holland in that Ninja Trader Esports AM machine. He may have a 2-for-1 going 3 wide down Kemmel.
How about going to the grass to make it 3 wide, in fact? No one's backing off yet. Doycombe on lap 3. No one's backing off. Horvath now backs it off. Luna nearly squeezes Holland off the track.
Just going to stay together as we get a move to the inside. Levesque trying to defend on Ferguson, and Ferguson fights back out of the corner, almost banging doors as they come around the last turn. Here comes Mies as well, trying to take back some of the positions that he lost as they stay tight to the inside. Overall, the dirt and dust on the track and down into the first corner. We're going to be wheel to wheel, yet still Levesque around the outside. Ferguson, can he get the job done? Yet now he has.
And it's not over yet for the battle for 7th. Harper holding on to the bottom. Sorenzo trying to jump past Walker. They crash coming to the final corner. Sorenzo and Walker crash down the front stretch. The last cars on the lead lap trying back up down the straightaway. Walker will finish in 8th backwards to close the year.
Kayla came out swinging upon his return by taking a perfect score down in Brazil. The last time Seppa beat him on track was round 5 at Mosport, and it's starting to look like he needs to respond soon. Will the chaos of Lime Rock Park's tight confines give him a better shot to beat his fellow Finn? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Lime Rock Park acts as a great introduction to road racing for those dipping their toes into lesser-powered cars. But put a machine like the Lotus 79 on here and it becomes a blender. Let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to Lime Rock Park. Located in the northwest corner of Connecticut, this unassuming little track has garnered a surprisingly passionate following. Its unique aspects create a circuit not only full of character, but consistently challenging even to modern race cars. While it has 4 different possible layouts, on the classic version, only 7 corners are split along a 1.5 mile track with just a single one of them turning left. Though simple in appearance, most drivers will tell you that trying to be fast here is anything but. The run down the front stretch into Big Bend offers pretty much the only viable passing spot, but it's a double apex right-hander which lures drivers into taking it too fast. The uphill is also scary quick considering its lack of runoff and can sometimes cause cars to get airborne over its crest. Then, on the opposite end, the downhill sends cars diving into a quick sweeper, which requires a good exit speed in order to defend or attack back into the first corner. Modern racing mostly uses the more recently built chicanes, especially at the uphill. But one of the most unusual facts about this track is that the races are never held on Sunday. Due to a legal agreement with a nearby church, events must take place on Fridays and Saturdays. The confines around this place are tight, the passing opportunities are few, and mistakes are usually punished with race-ending damage. With most other road courses now being built with upwards of 3 and 4 miles in length, this track stands out. But in an age of multi-million-dollar facilities and flashy buildings, this quaint small circuit manages to keep fans coming back with its intimate and grassroots setting. DJ, this is going to be an interesting one to watch. These aren't really cars that was made for a track like this.
No, they weren't, Joe, and I think interesting may be the understatement of the century. I think we may be in store for more than a few kerfluffles today because about 70% of the lap here is going to be spent on throttle for these cars. The only real heavy braking zone you're going to have, and therefore probably the only real overtaking opportunity, is going to be going down into Big Bend, that big sweeping first right-hander. Outside of that, there's going to be a lot of just follow the leader. There's a lot of trying to force the issue. Coming up through the uphill and the no-name straight, well, going through there, you're going to need to be very careful. We think you can probably take that about flat out after about the 2nd or 3rd lap, but there may be a little bit squirreliness if you get offline. I anticipated more than a couple of cars coming off kilter up through there, as well as going down through the diving turn. So while this may be quick, it may be fast, it may be a lot on throttle, it's still going to keep drivers on their toes.
No doubt about that. And as we mentioned in the intro, the championship has been getting interesting because Marco Kayla is pulling back away now that he has returned. Of course, missed the Hungaroring, but Interlagos brought him quite a return to form. From there on down, though, Timothy Reed is in 3rd in points with Piley Parton and only a single point behind him. And Juan Micosa slipping back a little bit here later in the season, though he was quite quick early on. So we'll keep an eye on that, but let's take a look at the team standings now.
Well, in that team standings, it's pretty close up at the top with Equip Renault Elf, only 4 points ahead of March Grand Prix team, and so they are going to be duking it out as the rest of this series continues. Fittipaldi Automotive, they're a bit in an island unto themselves, about 20 points back of March Grand Prix, and about 25 points ahead of their closest rivals in Tyrrell Racing. Ragnos Aeros Racing a beta racing team, they're about 4 points or so off of Tyrrell, so a good battle shaping up there for P4 as well.
Now for today's race, because the lap is so short, look at that, 52 laps that they're going to be doing around here. They are well under a minute just to circulate. There's no spare car to help them out if they get any sort of damage, and well, damage is probably going to be big because the speeds are so high. It is open setup as well to try and find that speed out there today. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and a disqualification at 25, but expect incidents to really result, as we said before, in big damage anyways. So drivers are already out on their qualifying laps, and as you'd expect, many have completed one, if not both of them already, as we take a look at the weather. And thankfully, that at least is in the driver's favor because it is 74 Fahrenheit. But I wonder if that will make it a little bit harder to get the tires up to temperature.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit cooler, and especially on the first couple of laps, I think you're going to see drivers struggling a little bit to get those tire temperatures up. Lots of humidity out on track, though, about 60%, 60 to 70%, so that's going to be very, very helpful. Only about 4 miles an hour of wind, so that's not going to play too much into that. Good little onboard there with Armando Edwards. You can see just how fast and furious these corners come at these drivers.
Indeed, the New Jersey driver able to get himself on the board, but he's only in 15th, so we head off to Pablo Suarez now. Qualifying position going to be so important. He's on his out lap, and she talked about getting those tires up to temperature. I think some of the drivers said, as we saw him go over the uphill, the jump, as some of the drivers have been calling it. It sounds like it's pretty sketchy the first couple laps. So I imagine this qualifying is just as terrifying with them trying to push.
Most certainly, and remember that these guys are probably out in qualifying trim in terms of fuel levels, and that's going to make the car dance a lot more. It's going to make it lighter. There's not as much weight pushing into the ground, so the ground effects that makes these cars so very quick isn't going to be as effective. So I'm frankly amazed we haven't seen a few more drivers sailing off into the distance here during qualifying runs, Joe.
But at this point, we're only waiting on the Turk and Suarez to put their laps down. Here we see the Turk on screen along the no-name straight himself. Suarez comes around the diving turn and to the timing line. Let's see if he has got a decent one here. It's a 41.8, but we're hearing he was just getting the tires up to temperature, so that 16th maybe not representative. Michael the Turk, he just finished his warm-up lap, so Turk now on his flyer. And again, the laps are so short. Look, we've got 2 minutes left, and we got a driver who can still complete both of them.
Exactly. It's just such a fast lap here. Jumping back to Suarez, coming up through that uphill. There you can see that was a great example. The rear end of that car just kind of dancing a little bit across the track as it gets loose over the jump. Driver's going to have to be careful of that. If you're a little bit offline, you maybe try to be a little bit aggressive going through that part of the track. It could throw you off. Suarez there looks like he's able to improve up to 12th.
Still a little bit disappointing for Pablo, but it is top split, and a 41.3 for the Turk, up to 10th for him. The New Yorker has one last go at things. See if he can get himself maybe into the top 5 here. Try to improve. He was faster than Suarez's second lap, and since that was perhaps his lap trying to get the tires up to temperature, could he have even more in hand? Right now it is still Timothy Reed who is on the provisional pole, which is going to be perhaps a very feel-good story, since looking through the stats, we don't think Timothy Reed has had a podium yet here on the Sunday Grand Prix Series. Down and across the line, the 6 car is going to get a 40.7, half a second quicker. That is on the front 2 rows into 4th place for Michael de Turk, which wraps up our qualifying here today. Let's go through that starting order then. Timothy Reed, as we mentioned, on the pole position. That's 2 bonus points for him as well in the championship hunt. Pauli Partanen will start from 2nd, as Jukka Tolinen will be P3. Michael de Turk, as we just saw, got himself into 4th late in the day. Juan Costa, good qualifying of 5th. Let's see if that helps his championship hunt. Sam Doby will be P6, and Ove Trangrade down in 7th. You've got Barry West with a fantastic qualifying in 8th place out there. Daniel Banker will be P9, and Isaac Snyder rounds out your top 10.
Coming in on the 11th will be Pat Meyer, followed by Armando Edwards, with Pablo Suarez 13th and Keith Herner 14th. Severi Seppa, a surprise 15th, way down the field there for the Finn. Thomas Bartfi will be lining in 16th, with Javier Mosquera 17th and Daniel Gallus bringing up the back of the field.
Obviously, it looks a little bit small, but that's perhaps a bit of a mercy for today's race, as the drivers will have to deal with traffic quite quickly around this 40-some second lap. And This is the top split of 2. If you're new to iRacing, that of course is basically the drivers have a maximum amount that are allowed in a race, and from there they split it up according to iRating, which is sort of a measure of their skill here in the sim. And these are going to be the cream of the crop racing here today. Looking at them lining up on the grid here in the early morning light out in Connecticut. Partonen is now getting himself out there from second, as we've got at least one on board, is Isaac Snyder. Well, not totally focused. He's talking on his phone, it looks like, a little bit. Wonder what he's investigating. Maybe he's promoting his stream here, as now he's getting really focused. Gloves are on, and he is ready to go. Looks like Yuka Tolanen going to be the last one out there. Third on the grid. Can Timothy Reed not only get his first podium, but perhaps his first win in the Sunday Grand Prix series? Tolanen making him wait, and we might have to see him start from pit lane unless he hurries up, because we've got less than 30 seconds to get rolling here. About 20 seconds now, and finally he puts that Arrows machine on the grid. With that, the engines start to rev as the lights come up here in round 9. And the green flag is out. Timothy Reed isn't that great off the line, but good enough. Tolanen struggles. DeTurk around his outside is going to be followed by Costa to his inside, and he loses 2 positions in a hurry. One car in the background off into the grass. That's Barry West. Everybody else is through.
Everybody else through nice and easy. That was a mega start there from Juan Costa to push his way up forward as they now work their way through the S's. Still some side-by-side through the field, but everybody's starting to go in single file here as they head their way towards the uphill.
Ooh, my goodness. Partonen 2 wheels in the grass coming over the uphill. Thankfully, oh, and he does it again coming out of West Bend. He is pushing the limit. I'm not sure that car is steering very well. A little bit of understeer potentially through some of the fast turns as we already complete lap 1, and a poke to the inside from Juan Costa doesn't produce results in a big bend.
It doesn't, but don't be surprised if we see a lot of that here today. Drivers just poking their way to the inside, trying to see if they can force an error. Joe, this is going to be a big mental game race. Like I said, about 70% of this lap on throttle, no real heavy braking zones. It's all going to be about forcing errors out of your opponent.
Indeed, and right now Reed with a gap of about 0.6 of a second over Partonen. But it seems like the real battle is that one for third place. DeTurk on Costa as we watch the car of Meyer. Pep trying to see if he can get by Isaac Snyder here. Snyder just looking back, giving us a perspective of what it's like being pressured here around this bull ring of a road course.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the best way to describe it. There you can see Juan Costa really fighting with the car here, trying to make sure that it's not going to step out on him. Remember, these Lotuses, they're very tricky when they're not up to temperature in those tires. They're not going to be really good. Wow! That was him.
Unbelievable. Costa just getting 4 wheels in the air. I don't think I've ever seen a car intentionally do that in the Lotus 79 at any track. That was an amazing shot for Costa, but let's see if he can make it an amazing finish with a potential podium. Timothy Reed now setting the fastest lap up in front of him, but hasn't stretched away completely. Still about roughly a second ahead of the number 2.
Yeah, Paulie Partonen at least keeping him honest here, keeping Timothy in check, making sure that he's not going to get too out of line here, but I think he definitely does have the advantage.
Yeah, it looks like he's pulling away bit by bit. I think some of that is sort of hidden by the fact that the laps are so short. This would be a little bit more impressive, I'm sure, if this were longer laps. As we watch Armando Edwards looking at Pep Meyer in front of him. He's being chased by Seppa and Doby. Seppa, once again, not seeing pace out of him recently, at least in qualifying, and that is certainly going to make life tough here today. He used to be our championship leader at one point so far this season and hasn't been able to challenge Marco Kayla a whole lot since the latter half of things in this season 4.
Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise to see Severi falling down the field so much, but on this track in particular, Joe, I'm not exactly surprised. This is a wild card round. This is not a track that necessarily is perfectly suited for these Lotus 79 machines, although Severi getting a great run here on Armando Edwards. He's going to poke his nose to the inside, using that draft as a slingshot. Let's see if he can be better on the binders. Edwards tries to hold it out around the outside, but it's to no avail. Severi Seppa up into 10th.
A little bit of a poke from Sam Doby, but he can't manage to make the pass, even though there was the opportunity. And look at how much that backs them up behind them as we jump a little bit back forward. Suarez got close as once again those cars just popping over the crest.
That is getting scarier and scarier and scarier, Joe. And rest assured, the farther we get into this race, the lighter these cars get. That turn is going to get sketchier as we go along because they're just going to want to get a little bit more air underneath the cars. We may see some daylight under them, and that may be a little bit scary.
Just incredible stuff. And yeah, I think the drivers told us that after, lap 4, it's pretty much flat out from there on out through there. So they are not lifting. They're just keeping the foot down as they literally fly over. We've had our first wreck. Javier Mosquera seems to have gone off. Well, not a wreck, really, just a spin through Big Bend.
Yeah, it just looked like Javier took a little bit too much speed coming through the corner. Jumping back here to Pablo Suarez, who's currently in 13th, trying to chase down Sam Doby right ahead of him. You see everybody keeping in. Oh, we got to go to Costa. Costa's making a move around the outside of 1.
Deturk trying to fend him off. They're almost banging wheels through there, but he makes it the long way around. That was incredible stuff. We need a replay of the 5, just about rubbing rubber to rubber. We're going to stick with us for just a moment just to see if he can keep hold of it, because his heart has got to be beating through his chest. Little wheels in the grass, but he has got it. They were just about making contact, and this was all set up here in the diving turn.
Was indeed. So here you see that is Deturk trying to go defensive. Wanmi says, all right, that's fine. I'm going to go to the outside. You see him taking the widest line into that corner possible, just keeping momentum up around the outside, not taking no for an answer, and by sheer force of will alone, that is Wanmi Costa up into the final podium position.
Love that. So Costa now up on the podium. Oh, we have had a wreck now. Doby and Edwards come together out of that same corner. Unfortunately, Armando getting some damage on the nose. I'm not sure what Doby has. Yeah, he's got his front wing all bent up.
All right, so this is coming in there. Let's see as they make the... Oh, just caught a little bit too much into the back and didn't anticipate a little bit of a check up there.
Just lost it in front of him. He was following so closely, there's no place to go. We're going to watch it one more time from the New Englander. Bit of a home track here for him. And as he comes through, yeah, it was great. It was great until the rear stepped out on him. And after getting passed by, things just went worse for Edwards. Michael Deturk, wow, his onboard gives us another view, putting 2 wheels in the grass over the uphill. He has definitely lost touch with Costa. It's about 0.6 of a second ahead of him. I think that Wanmi was being a little bit held up there. The question now becomes, can he catch Partanen in P2?
Well, it certainly looks like Wanmi's got the chance to. He's about 1/10 of a second faster on that last lap than Paulie Partanen. And 1/10 of a second on a 40-second lap here is a massive advantage. Wanmi definitely starting to pull that in. But we jump back here with Severi Seppa, who's now got Pep Meyer in his sights. Meyer in a little bit of a battle there up ahead with Daniel Banker. So Severi definitely has got some more cars to be working to pick off here.
Yeah, only up to 10th so far after starting from 15th, although the track is difficult to pass as this one. That's mighty well done. And 11 laps onto the main straight, the Sam Posey straight once again. Good run from Meyer. He's closing in on Banker. I don't think he's got enough straightaway as they finally lift for Big Bend. However, very good into the corner for Severi Seppa. He closes that gap down by a few car lengths.
Yes, he does. Severi definitely on the charge here. Currently your highest coming up on the track. Looks like Armando Edwards, I believe, is coming down pit lane after that little crash that he had. So he is probably going to retire the car, sadly, is it's very, very hard to get some damage repair in these Lotus 79s.
Yep, Edwards now in pit lane as we watch Isaac Snyder here. Not a car you can miss easily. Very late 80s, early 90s vibes out of this thing. And the 12 comes around Big Bend. Oh, he goes too wide and he spins it. And unfortunately, he's going to drop down the order after he was well into the top 10. Gets it whipped back around after not seeing any emotion out of him yesterday in the Camel Series. We finally got a bit of a grimace out of him today.
Yeah, and you can see the frustration there on his face. Just took a little bit too much speed through Big Bend. And with the way the track is, it crowns a little bit around the corner. And if you get too far out to that outside, Joe, it's just very easy to dip those tires off into the grass, especially with as much torque as going through those rear tires. They just spin up, and it is a one-way ticket to disaster.
Ooh, Meyer might have a spot down into Big Bend. In fact, he does. Daniel Banker got overtaken right there, and now Severi Seppa tries to take advantage, but the left-hander is the only left-hander and just doesn't offer it up to him. A little bit wide, and the right-hander, though, onto No Name. Banker still susceptible. It'll take a lot of bravery to go side by side into the uphill. Seppa doesn't have those stones quite yet. He's going to fall back.
Yes, he is. That definitely cost him a couple of tenths. I think that looked to the inside potentially, but here's where he's got to set it up as they go down through West Bend and into diving turn. Oh, there it is. Is he going to go for a 2-for-1?
They're thinking about 3 wide. Seppa wants it, but he pulls out. Banker gets that spot right back from Meyer the lap after. Meyer goes down. Oh, and he spins, and that's going to collect Suarez, who hops into the air, but somehow keeps the car going. Meyer gets it back turned forward. He's got to have some damage. Suarez must have had a heart attack on that one.
I think he did indeed. We're going to check out this onboard replay here with Pep Meyer. Pep just absolutely a bit of a sitting duck out there with Severi Seppa and Suarez going back on through there, so you can see just gets out, gets into the grass, gets too wide. There's the catch with Suarez. Don't know how much damage Pep necessarily picked up, but still not a good day.
I was going to say that'll put some pep in Suarez's step, but he unfortunately got enough damage that he is down pit lane. And it seems like Pep has also put himself down there. So we're seeing attrition rear its ugly head, but it has lasted a little bit farther into this race than I expected. It's honestly a good surprise to see as we come back to the battle between Banker and Seppa.
Indeed it is. Severi just trying to apply all the pressure that he can as Paulie Partonen has responded, by the way, to Juan Costa's pace after getting up into the third place position. But here comes Seppa. He's going to dive to the inside of Daniel Banker here. He's already in front by the time they cross over the start-finish line. That is spot done and dusted for Severi Seppa.
Indeed. Now up to 7th after starting 15th. I think Isaac Snyder just got bar 5. We don't need a replay on that. That was a straightforward pass into Big Bend. He's on his recovery as we come back to Deturk, down by about 9/10 of a second. So, like you said, not really dropping off too badly. He's only 3/10 lower than what we saw quite a few laps ago. Love those beautiful shimmers of the rising sun off the cars down the Sam Posey straight, and we're still way far from halfway through this race. 52 laps takes a bit to try and knock off around here. Paulie Partonen just ahead in the second position, 1.5 seconds behind Timothy Reed. You can still see him up ahead in that white number 3, but just barely. He's going to have to start picking it up unless maybe lap traffic at some stage a few laps down the line will help him out.
Well, I certainly think it's going to come into play here pretty soon. The leaders are running about 6/10 of a second faster than the rest of the field. So we're going to have some lap traffic come into play. Also, remember, these cars get lighter on fuel. They will act differently. We've talked about how they dance a little bit, how the ground effect doesn't take as big of a play once they get later into the run. Sam Dobby here, though, doing a good run right now. He is currently 15th, trying to close in on Javier Mascara up in front of him. That's the look back there. That is your leader.
So they are coming. And if Dobie gets into a battle with Mascara, that's going to slow them down all the more. Don't forget Daniel Gallus just in front of them. Here we see the perspective from Reed as well. just catching glimpses of them, and now we look back at Partonen. Ooh, and he's cut it down to 1.2 to 1.1. It was at 1.5 barely a lap ago. That is an interesting development. Not sure if we missed a mistake from the 3 or what.
I think that was just outright pace from Paulie Partonen. The way he's been running, he was only 0.02 of a second off of the fastest lap, so it's really just Paulie putting in some mega laps here as they work their ways around.
They just went 3 wide with Dobie getting both Mosquera and Gallus into Big Bend. I suddenly saw a flash of the scoring tower changing, and when I look over, they had an incredible moment here into the first turn with Dobie showing how you get it done. He just had a magnificent run, had the bravery to try and execute, and while the other two backed out, he just sent it in.
Wow, kudos there to Sam Dobie. That is an opportunistic and well-timed move there for Sam. Don't always see him here in this top slip, but just absolutely on it. Jumping on board now with Paulie Partonen. Paulie's been able to pull that gap down to 0.7 of a second. Again, just running faster laps here than Timothy Reed. I think he's just a little bit more used to how that car is going to be functioning as that fuel burns off. As Jukka Tolvanen now sets the fastest lap of the race.
He's cut this down way quicker than normal, though. I wonder if there's damage on the 3 car right now. I'm looking, yeah, here's the most recent laps, and it's gone from 1 to 2 to 0.3 of a second quicker. Reed's suffering from something. Something's not normal.
Yeah, I'm taking a look right now. It doesn't look like there's any wing damage to the car necessarily, Joe. And I think he's okay in terms of underfloor damage. The front of the cockpit not necessarily popping up, but I'll keep an eye here.
It's down to 0.5 of a second. Maybe Reed just lost his mojo a little bit. It's hard to say as we watch from the onboard of Partonen. Now on to the no-name straight. And they're still catching up to the back of, well, what is now Suarez. Gallus ahead of him, but Suarez is a lap down after taking a few repairs. Oh, Seppa got another one. Ove Trangray just had a problem.
Yes, he
went
did.
Off, yeah. Another victim of Big Bend. It seems to be the most difficult corner so far today. We've seen a number of spins. We've seen at least 2 wrecks, really, I should say. This car's made contact twice now, and the Honda liveried Lotus has to eventually find its way back to the black stuff and falls down into 7th position. We come back to Partonen on screen. It's back up to 0.8 of a second. Maybe it was a false alarm as Reed got it underneath him once again.
Maybe he has. He was able to respond on that last lap, but this is going to be a marathon here with just as many laps as we're going to tick down, and Timothy Reed not used to necessarily being out in this leading position. Let's see on that last lap. Reed about 0.1 of a second faster, so definitely getting his groove back on, getting back into good rhythm there for the number 3 as Tolvanen again sets the fastest lap of the race.
This is going to be meaningful for either of our top 2 if they take the victory. Reed without a single one to his name, but Partonen has only won twice so far in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. So we now check in on Jukka Tolvanen back in 5th. He's catching up to De Turk. And I want to say this is a lot smaller than what it was many laps ago. So we'll see if the Finn can manage to put one over on the New Yorker as they come down the Sam Posey straight into turn 1 once again. Seen a little tiny rise in temperature out on the track, but we're getting a bit of cloud cover now here in the early morning. It's only 9:30 a.m. virtual standard time, so the temperatures are expected to continue to rise as the sun gets higher in the sky.
Yeah, it's about 78 degrees on track right now, so that's certainly going to be helping the drivers a little bit. Still definitely in that Goldilocks zone where you're not going to have to be worrying too much about the tires overheating necessarily. As we see there, not exactly sure who that was, but getting out of the way of our leaders. Gap now hovering at about 0.6 of a second between them.
Coming down through the left-hander and back to the right, trying to get the speed through that little bit of banking that's included on those. And there was some dust kicked up, or not sure if that was some of the those cars lifting up just scares me every single time. I've seen that in cars that don't have downforce, but I've never seen these Lotus 79s do something like that, and I can't believe that the drivers are able to do that lap after lap, not scare the willies out of themselves. Meanwhile, in front, that was Mosquera being put another lap down by Suarez and Snyder. Well, Snyder more so, I should say, dealing with the lap traffic. As he's not afraid to get right up to the gearbox. So, was there contact there, or did Suarez just lose it?
I think Suarez just lost a little bit, but there is somebody off in the background. That is the number 10 there of Suarez.
Oh, goodness. He was trying to, I would assume, trying to stay out of the way. I think there was the tiniest bit of contact between them. Let's see from the above shot here.
All right, so this will be coming through the S's with Suarez, brings it in. Yeah, there may have just been a little bit of a touch, but I think that car may have been already spinning before it happened. And in the case of Isaac Snyder, it looks like he got away with no front wing damage, so that'll be a good thing there for the number 12.
Ooh, and our leader is now into the traffic as we watch from Partanen's perspective. Mosquera is aware. He pulls off to the side. And will he be able to get out of the way here at West Bend? Just barely, but Partanen has to take a compromise line. That hurts him.
Yes, it does. He'll lose some big time there. The gap back up to about 1.4 seconds here at this point.
And now Reed closes in on Snyder, one of the drivers who's had some issues today. We jump back to Tolanen as well, who is down to 0.4 of a second behind Michael de Turk.
Yeah, losing time there a little bit, but Yuka Tolman certainly keeping up the pressure the best that he can. He thankfully doesn't have a whole lot behind him, as Severi Seppa is a fair ways back at this point, so he can just focus on the attack here as we finally, Joe, are over halfway.
All right, so at least they're around that far, which means we might see our leaders starting to catch up to the tail end of the fields just about at the end of the race for the second time. And down into Big Bend, we watch de Turk seeing if he can hold off Yuka Tolanen for this 4th position, which is actually exactly where Michael started this race, whereas Tolanen is down some. Remember, he had that poor start off the line, lost 2 spots, hasn't got either of them back yet. I'm sure he'd like at least one here.
I'm sure he would too, as there they go again down through West Bend, working their way around. This is Severi Seppa, who is currently your hardest charger of the race. He's up into 6th position, up 9 from his starting spot. Ooh, looks like that race for the lead is back on as probably Partanen sets the fastest lap, the first driver to dip into the 40 flats. Oh, but de Turk is off!
Oh no, and once again, it's Big Bend. I wonder if this was the curbs as we take a look at the replay. Wasn't under any extreme pressure here. Nothing that wasn't like what we saw before. There you see the view from behind. Watch the right-hand side. Didn't look like it from that perspective, but certainly the rear just decided it had had enough that lap and left him out in the grass.
Yeah, I think for him it was just a matter of carrying a little bit too much entry speed into the corner, maybe a hair of a lockup on the rear brakes, and that sent him spinning around. So very, very heartbreaking there for Michael de Turk. But, however, he will stay in 5th place. Didn't lose a position courtesy of that, as Severi Seppa was about 20 seconds behind him. Severi, though, will hopefully be licking his chops here, closing in. He's got that gap at about 3.8 right now.
Yeah, that spin from de Turk was honestly a big bonus to Seppa because his run through had just about halted before then. And now that he's only got to make up 4 seconds instead of 14, de Turk now could be on the cards for him as we watch our leaders through the S's onto the no-name straight. Timothy Reed leading Pauli Partanen by 9/10 of a second. It's been fluctuating over the course of this race. It may come down to that lap traffic. It may come down to who makes the fewest mistakes.
Well, in terms of the mistakes, Joe, that's a little bit of what we kind of anticipated coming into the race. This just being a situation where drivers are going to have to just be consistent, almost hot lapping as they go around here, trying to just focus everything else out of their minds. 18 laps to go here as we ride on board with Pauli Partanen, and he knows exactly what he's got to do.
Oh, and Isaac Snyder had a pretty decent wreck. We might want a replay of this one. Actually, very strange to watch because the car, I think, caught some air over the jump, but not because of him going forward over it. We'll see here on the replay. There's the aftermath as he tried to collect it. This again, if this was real life, would have been just incredibly scary. Here we go. Watch this car start to lose it through the uphill.
Bringing it up through the... Oh, wow. Yeah, there it looked like he just brought a little bit too much speed into the corner. The rear end wanted to step on out on him, and he just caught some air as the car started to go sideways. Not exactly the way they were designed.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent. I can't tell if it was... No, it doesn't look like it's getting air underneath it, because it looks so similar to what we see with the 87 Cup cars here on iRacing, where they can get blowovers. But it just about wound up like that. He unfortunately is in pit lane. Might be our latest retirement after Meyer and Edwards.
Yeah, I think it looks like he will be. There's already a good amount of damage to that car as is. But as we focus back on the battle for the lead, Pauli Partanen keeping this close at about 5/10 of a second. He's not letting anything go away quite yet.
He is not. Ooh, Ove Trangrate's caught up to Severi Seppa, though. And that's a battle happening into Big Bend right now. There we hop on board with the Norwegian. The Finn had to go defensive last time into the long right-hander as they weave their way up onto No Name. Ooh, that was a very bad exit from Trangrate. He drops back a few car lengths.
Yeah, not able to get the deal done there. Whoa! That was the front end of a Lotus lifting off the ground. Oy, oy, oy.
And it was Suarez. It was Suarez off at the side of the track. Yet again, you talked about these cars losing some of the ground effects, but strangely, it's not the jump part of it that seems to be wrecking them. It's trying to get through the compression here. It snapped on him.
Oh, he caught a little bit of curbing on the apex. That's what happened there with that, I think, Joe. Let's watch this on board from Suarez. Comes in here, brings it down. Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
He caught the curb.
Just goes into a spin cycle, and that's day done for him. The track continues to gobble up yet more vehicles. And as we come back live, Pauli Partanen, it was 9/10 of a second when we left him. It's down to 5/10 once again.
It is, but Ove Trangrate just able to get by Severi Seppa. As we look back, he was able to get that move done going down into Big Bend. Seppa, a little bit surprisingly, didn't defend too much. He got the inside. He gave away the inside line.
Wonder if he's just trying to collect what points he can here today. They do get, I believe it's 4 drop weeks on the season. And Seppa's already had a 0 for missing 1, but there's a number of other races, especially 2 of the last 3. At Bathurst, he had a wreck, and at Interlagos, only wound up with 39 points. Let's see what it's like from on the nose now, how much air he gets on it. Just a tiny little hop.
But you can see, Joe, that car just lifting off the ground a little bit. And especially in these simulators, when you are set up in a good rig. Yep, here's the run. Here's the run.
He might have it. Timothy Reed knows it. He goes defensive. Can Partanen pull this off the long way around like we saw Costa? He sends it in deep, maybe too deep. He has to really catch it, and it carries on out of the corner. Too wide now into the left-hander, but Partanen finally gets it done.
By sheer force of will alone, Joe able to get that move done. You saw how squirrely that was on braking going down into the first corner. But Pauli Partanen up into the lead, catches air over that little leap. But he is going to be a happy man behind that helmet.
I thought for sure that he had overshot that big bend. The way the car was just squirming underneath him. And Reed's got the slipstream. Does he fight back? He's got to run. He's going to show his nose, but he doesn't have enough straightaway.
Well, and he's been a little seesawy on pace here, so it'll be interesting to see if he is able to catch up and keep behind. Let's watch the onboard replay there. Yeah, you can see Reed immediately going defensive, trying to cover off that line. Partonen at this point just knows what he has to do, holds it around the outside, keeps the door open, and there Reed tries to come back through, but then they get into a left-hander, and that is day done and dusted.
Oh, Timothy Reed so close to a first win. It'll still be a first podium, we believe, for that number 3 machine. Could he find himself finally making himself a major player here in this series as Reed works through the left-hander, still keeping within 0.4 of a second, keeping him honest. Like you said, at times he's been a little bit quicker. Can he dig deep, find that tiny bit of pace that he needs to try and challenge in these last 10 laps?
Well, that's what it's all going to be about. He has just got to put pressure to Paulie Partonen as much as possible. That is what he has to do. He can't let that slipstream break away. And he does have a little bit more traffic coming up. Right next up is Keith Herner that they'll have to deal with. He's about 2.5 seconds up the road. And Reed has just got to hope that Herner can maybe hamper the race of Paulie Partonen ever so slightly.
I dug through our information, and I want to make a correction here. Reed has had a podium at Bathurst. This would be his second ever then here today if he finishes P2. But still, we can confirm that he has never had a win in this series. As we watch Seppa. Oh, and train grade goes off. Train grade in the number 7 for the second time this race finds himself through Big Bend and not on the pavement.
Yeah, just again, a little bit too much speed here for Ove, I think, as he tried to work his way down and through. There you can see lining up on the main straightaway. Remember, he had gotten past Severi Seppa a few laps ago, dives it onto the binders, just carries too much speed, a little bit of a lockup on those rear brakes, and that's going to send him around.
They only have to survive just a couple more laps. And we've still got 14 of them rolling out on track. We've lost Suarez, Snyder, Meyer, and Edwards. We hop on board with Partonen. Now he's starting to pull away. It's up to 0.9 ahead of Timothy Reed. The good news for Tim is Juan Micosta is a full 3.5 seconds back. He's not looking threatening for the time being.
No, this is a little bit of a battle up into themselves here for this first place position. Remember, we speculated a little bit earlier in the race if Juan Micosta was going to have the time and the speed to be able to catch up. Just doesn't look like he's got it out here today. But Reed continuing to try to just shadow in those footsteps. Gaps at about 0.9 of a second. Paulie doing a good job of just eking out some time every lap. But Timothy Reed was a little bit faster last time around.
Also, credit where credit is due. Seppa looks to be our hard charger, up by 9 positions so far today. And still on the lead lap as well. We are down to only 8 drivers left on the lead lap, which isn't too great of a shock. It's Daniel Banker, the last of those, currently being chased by Partonen. But I don't think Paulie is close enough to be able to catch him in these final 6 laps. There we saw the gearbox perspective of Banker. And there is Partonen now. 1.1 seconds over Timothy Reed. He's stretching it away. Partonen, 4th in the championship points. This is actually going to be hugely helpful for him over Timothy Reed, who he came into this round 1 point behind. Whoa, and what is that? Partonen? Timothy Reed spins, and he's going to fall down to 4th. Tolanen gets by. De Turk is too far back. What happened to Reed?
He just lost it on his own volition there, Joe.
That's Snyder coming out of the pits in front of them. Did that put him a little bit off of his game, or he was experiencing some wake, but I just would not think that that'd be enough to cause him to spin. This is unusual.
Let's watch on board here. Give a listen to the throttle inputs. I think he goosed it a little bit. I think he may have just put a little bit too much throttle into it coming off of the end of Big Bend, and that caused the rear tires to spin a little bit, and that sent him spinning.
Oh, we haven't checked on Barry West all race long. He is back up to 11th. This is a fight for position. That's Herner and Bartfy in front of him. And then Timothy Reed is the next one up. But the reason I bring up West is because he was the one that went off at Big Bend in the very first lap, just going wide. Apparently did not hit anything and has been trying to play catch-up ever since.
Yeah, just trying to get that car there. He's running a pretty consistent and clean race from here on out. And so for him, as I just saw there, it looked like Banker was able to get by Trangrade. Trangrade's in the pits.
Did he hit something? I'm double checking. I see some damage. Oh, yes. Once again, it was trying to come up and over the uphill. And he had a big hit with the wall. So he is done because we've only got, well, I think we're on 2 laps to go right now.
We are indeed, as we'll take another look at this. Very sketchy entrance there. And, oh, the car just twitched. These cars are wont to snap on you. That snap oversteer can very easily happen. And because there's so much torque in those rear tires, if you try to overcorrect a little bit there, like we saw Ove Trangrade do, that will cause the car to just absolutely lose it.
Partonen takes the white flag. 1 to go. He didn't get the pole position. He started from second, just outside of Timothy Reed. If I'm looking correctly, he's got the bonus, the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap. And more importantly, he has got the lead here coming to the checkers pretty soon. Costa is about 4.3 seconds behind him. No worries from behind. He can take it easy here to the finish. One last scary leap over the uphill and through West Bend. The diving turn is all that stands between himself and victory. And Pauli Partonen gets his 3rd win ever in the Sunday Grand Prix Series.
Well, Paul has got to be very, very happy with that. Obviously taking advantage of some misfortune of others, but it's still a fantastic drive there from him. Very determined. We check back on Barry West as Jukka Tolvanen pips the fastest lap on the last lap of the race. Barry West unable to get that move done.
And only 7 drivers left on the lead lap with Banker, the last of them. It was close between Herner and West. He came within 0.2 of a second at the line. And there you see your results. But we are going to head to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. So stick around. Covering the inside, Mayer does not want to give him the space. He's going to force him the long way around, and he's going to take it, but he's going to go way wide. Is he going to hold the speed up? He's in the grass trying to hold on. Simon Mayer has got the speed, and he is going to take that lead back just as they cross for the win. Is this enough to try and finally get this done into the Descida del Lago? He outbrakes him. He has the inside, but he can't feed it out because there's a car there, and Costa does it again, denying him, but fighting back. Here comes Tolvanen, going to be on the outside, coming into the horseshoe. It's hard to try and make it stick the long way around to this one, but he's going to do it anyways. Another right-hander leading into this one. It's just the never-ending side-by-side battle, but he gets a shove from behind. Showed and Holly are now vying for the lead down the backstretch. Look at him all the way to the yellow line. Michaud covering him off. Holly backs it up. He is setting him up. Absolutely. I guarantee you right here. And look at how calm he is. Oh, no.
That's a slowdown.
It certainly is. and off to the bottom of the track. He doesn't have to play any games. Michaud is done for, and he looks in the mirror almost unbelieving of his luck. Here comes Beaufil. Beaufil going to look to the inside, coming into Brundle. Are we going to go 3 wide potentially? Is Ziti going to try and lift? He is, and they go 3 wide into the corner. But Luke comes out in front, and a little bit of acceleration at the wrong time for Beaufil. Puts him under threat. Down the inside goes Stetzel, through the bomb hole, and out the other side. Stetzel carries the momentum. Another right-hander now into Corum, and he's back through.
Right on board here with James Holland in that Ninja Trader Esports AM machine. He may have a 2-for-1 going 3 wide down Kemmel.
How about going to the grass to make it 3 wide, in fact? No one's backing off yet. Doycombe on lap 3. No one's backing off. Horvat now backs it off. Luna nearly squeezes Holland off the track.
You're just going to stay together as we get to move to the inside. Levesque trying to defend on Ferguson, and Ferguson fights back out of the corner, almost banging doors as they come around the last turn. Here comes Mies as well, trying to take back some of the positions that he lost as they stay tight to the inside. Overall, the dirt and dust on the track and down into the first corner. We're going to be wheel to wheel, yet still Levesque around the outside. Ferguson, can he get the job done? Yet now he has.
And it's not over yet for the battle for 7th. Harper holding on to the bottom. Soranzo trying to jump past Walker. They crash coming to the final corner. Soranzo and Walker crash down the front stretch. The last cars on the lead lap trying back up down the straightaway. Walker will finish in 8th backwards to close the year.
Welcome back to Lime Rock Park. We just saw round 9 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and as you can see, it was Pauli Partanen who took the win, but he didn't lead the most of the laps, not at all. It was Timothy Reed down there in 4th, but Juan Costa collected 2nd place from 5th on the grid. Tolanen back to 3rd where he started, helped some by other drivers having mistakes here today. Reed behind him, starting from the pole, unfortunately, still not getting that first win and not getting his 2nd podium. Michael de Turk had to settle for 5th as Seppa had a poor qualifying and climbed all the way up from 15th to 6th place. It was Daniel Banker in P7 and Tomas Bartfai in P8, first one lap down. Keith Herner was 9th, and Barry West, great recovery after an opening spin. He climbed back to 10th.
Coming home in 11th was Daniel Gallus, 2 laps down, followed by Ove Trangrade, who finished 4 laps down after his incident. Mascara was a 5 laps down, as was Sam Adobe, who was 6 laps down. Isaac Snyder, 14 down, and then Suarez, Meyer, and Edwards, all DNFs here today.
Looks like we've got our winner ready to talk to us, Pauli Partanen, who came into this race 4th in the points. Pauli, this looks like a very important win for you. Not only did you grab one at the Hungaro Ring, but you've now got one here at Lime Rock. But you had to really hold on to the back of Timothy Reed for much of that race before eventually getting that brave pass. How did you keep? How did you deal with the pressure of trying to stay with him at a track that is so tight and so scary as this one?
Well, I'm much better being on behind, so I'm really liking to hunt somebody. And yeah, it was not really enough pressure, but I was so scared when I was trying to overtake him because I went way too deep to the first corner, and yeah, I thought I lost it, the whole car, but I was able to keep it on track and made a great overtake. It was very good.
Did you do any special practice for this race? Because it is such a unique track in road racing, with it having only one left-hander and all right-handers, and the fact that the lap is so short. Did you spend a lot of time working on dealing with traffic, or was this just pretty normal for you to just try and get in there and practice as you normally do?
Yeah, just normal practice, nothing special.
Interesting. Well, again, this will help you in the championship hunt. You're a ways behind guys like Marco Caleb, but with him not here today, drop weeks will help him, but you now put yourself a little bit higher up the order. Is there anybody you want to thank for today's victory?
Yeah, thanks to Jukka, as always. He helps me every week very much, so much thanks to him. And I have a new wheel for this week, so thanks wheel also. Thank you guys.
That was Pauli Partonen, our victor here in Connecticut, says he was followed by Tolanen, who finished third today. I believe DJ Clark has caught up with him.
I have indeed, and Jukka, a battle up through the field for you. You were really and truly seemed like you were in the thick of it the entire time. How much are you sweating right now?
Much. So yeah, it was quite intense, but after the bad start, I was just wanting to follow Juanmi and Michael. So yeah, it went pretty well.
Well, on a track like this where you have, frankly, so little time to breathe, how does that affect the way you drive it? I mean, you're not really having a long straight here to be able to take a break. As you prepared for it, does it change the way that you were running and preparing for the race, or is it basically just business as usual and, hope to keep going?
It didn't really affect my preparation for the race. I was home half an hour before the race start, so my warm-up was also a little bit short today. So compared to that, I'm very, very happy today. But yeah, it is really hectic, and you will have to just concentrate fully on driving all the time. So you really cannot be watching too much, even the gaps or anything. So I was just concentrating, driving as fast as I can without crashing. So it was everything I did today. So yeah.
Well, it clearly worked out for you, Jukka. Next week, we head to another, let's call it a different track for these Lotuses in the Roval at Homestead. How do you think that's going to go?
I have no idea. I haven't ever even driven there, so that will be interesting.
I think interesting is the best word for it. Jukka, congratulations again, everybody you want to thank for this third place today.
Well, CDC guys, Pauli again, you guys, Michael the Turk. Thanks.
Thank you. That was Jukka Tolanen, your third place driver here today. Joe?
That takes us to fourth place, Timothy Reed. And Timothy, it was so close to being your first ever win here in the Sunday Grand Prix series. Describe the emotions you're feeling. Is this frustration, disappointment? What are you feeling?
Yeah, it's definitely a little frustration. First off, Paulie ran a great race. Definitely deserved the victory there. His late race pace was much faster than mine, and he did an excellent pass around the outside of turn one. So congrats to Paulie. I really don't know. I probably shouldn't say anything after that, but it's a little disappointing. I've ran a couple of these races this week, a lot of single splits, and every lap traffic person has been great. And just 5 laps to go, and someone comes out of the pit 14 laps down. I don't know. Like, it threw me off my threw me off my rhythm. I didn't know what he was doing. I saw he was damaged, and it just, yeah. So I'm a little upset by that. But other than that, it's been a great week. It's been great racing with everyone. Paulie and I have had a couple of good close races, and so it was great racing with him. And I was happy I had the pace and got pole. So.
Yeah, we just saw the replay on that spin there through turn one. It surprised us a bit that moment was enough to cause you to lose it. Does it take that much concentration around here just to hold it together?
Yeah, so my car didn't handle too well through the first couple turns. It was kind of set up for just being fast through turn 4 and 5, and kind of keeping the high speed through the back straight, which is my plan to defend against Paulie. Unfortunately, I hit the inside of turn 5 and it slowed me down. But it was always a little sketchy going through turn 1 and turn 2. So yeah, just being thrown off my rhythm, and I'll admit I got the red mist a little bit and kind of got on the gas a little too much. So it was my mistake. But yeah. That's all I'll say.
I understand completely. Well, still, you've been on quite a turn of form, and you've already got at least one podium to your name this season. Do you feel like you can at least carry the performance that you had up to that point into the remaining rounds to maybe finally get that first win?
I hope so. I do prefer high downforce tracks and setups, so the rest of the schedule is more low downforce. But if I can get a podium, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with P4. But yeah, it's been a good season for me. I think I've adapted to the tires pretty quickly, and hopefully it takes everyone else a little bit longer to do it. But yeah, I'm happy with my pace and my results so far this season.
Well, great stuff. Still at the top 5 for you. Anybody you want to thank for today?
Yeah, I guess just thank Paulie for having a great race and keeping it clean and have good racing the previous races in this week.
All right, that was 4th place finisher Timothy Reed, and I believe 5th place for Michael DeTurk as DJ has caught up with him.
I have indeed. Michael, a good race for you on a crazy track. Talk me through that one.
Lime Rock is just insanity. I mean, it's why it only shows up in the schedule every 5 years. Vintage F1 cars are not meant to go airborne. It's fun, but it's tough.
Yeah, talk me through what it's like as we actually look on screen coming up over the uphill. I mean, how do you do that and, keep it together just mentally?
You kind of come through 5 and you're flat and you just think, don't turn in too much because the rear end's going to step. And then it gets into that little bit of compression and you hope it holds on. And, as you crest the hill, you have to keep your foot in it and you have to get the wheel straight. And if the wheel is not straight, you're in for a ride. If you touch the grass, you're in for a ride. If you steered a little too much on the entry, you're in for a ride. I mean, it's really just you get it perfect or you're dead or you're slow. You can take the slow. That works too.
Well, clearly not exactly slow for you out there necessarily, but next time out, we go to Homestead on the Roval, obviously another track that wasn't necessarily designed with these Lotus 79s in mind. Do you think that's going to present some challenges? Do you think that's going to be a bucket load of fun?
I think it's going to be interesting. I think it'll be fun. Part of the reason why Lime Rock, Homestead, Road Course B are on the schedule is this is the 50th season that Lotus 79 has been in iRacing. So in the first season, they ran Homestead Roval B, they ran Lime Rock, Sebring, and Road America. So we made sure we got those back into the schedule this season just as a little bit of a throwback and a 50th season celebration for the Lotus 79.
I love that, actually. I did not know that, Michael. But thank you for letting us know. Anybody you want to thank for the run here today?
Thanks to you guys. Thanks to all the guys working on setups. And, keep having good races every week. And see you guys next week.
We will see you then, Michael. That was Michael DeTurk, your 5th place finisher here today. Joe?
We've got one more to talk to. That is Barry West, who managed to get back into the top 10. But Barry, it didn't start on the greatest of notes. Had a very good start off the line, and then it looks like you had some trouble through turn 1.
Yeah, Joe. I've been strong here all week, actually, just keeping out of trouble and just keeping it on the track. But that didn't work out today, unfortunately. Really good qualifying for me, and then I missed gear twice on the run down to turn 1. I got a good start initially, but Isaac Schneider, who got on the inside, got on the back of Daniel in front, and he sort of dived out the outside, which really threw me off. So I had to lift and brake attach, and there's no contact, but I think it was just a lag, and because it felt like I'd been hit from behind, but there was no contact between Isaac and myself, but just a lag hit, and it just pushed me off wide. And I thought, oh, this is the end of the race. I'm going too fast to be able to keep it at the barriers. And I managed to do a bit of cadence braking on the tarmac, which slowed it down a little bit more, and then managed to throw it into the tyre barriers sideways. And it was about 40 miles an hour, the impact. And I thought, well, no, the steering's messed up. But because it hit the front slightly and then the back went in, I think it was a bit stronger. So the car seemed all right after then. So it didn't seem to make too much difference to lap times. But of course, it meant I was 18th and I think about 10 seconds behind whoever was last, and I think, this is it now. Just have to keep it on the track. And it got exciting towards the end. If I hadn't been lapped, it might have been interesting between Keith and Tamas. But I tried to get 2 more places, but I think realistically I should have been only a couple of places higher anyway, sort of P7, I suppose. P6 was possible, but I'm glad to get back to P10, to be honest, from 18th. So bit of a Hamilton, really.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great climb. Well, still, congratulations on that top 10. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to while we got you?
Well, no, you and DJ for doing such a good broadcast, and I'm picking up some of the back markers, and the race is going on at the back because it really is exciting at the back of the grid. I mean, I started a race yesterday from the front of the grid, and it was easy. It's just keeping that pace up.
That was Barry West, who takes a top 10 out here with an excellent qualifying, we should say, with 8th place. Certainly showing a lot more speed lately. But we're going to close it out with a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And we also want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Ryan, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. And the next race, as we mentioned, a highly unusual track. I'll have to check to see if they've ever raced here. Homestead on the Roval. That'll be Sunday, November 21st at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. Up next, Big C's MX5 Challenge heads to Bathurst at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.